So what's the situation that's currently happening dekat doctors kat Malaysia ni? Jom kita demystify. So since 20 to 30 years ago, kita boleh nampak yang our government actually made an active effort to send out students overseas macam dekat Ireland, India, Czech Republic, Indonesia, Mesir and all these other countries to increase the amount of medical graduates in our country. Tapi recently in 2019, there's a statistic that showed that there's a decrease of about 50% of medical graduates from medical schools. So kenapa makin sikit kita punya medical graduates sekarang dekat Malaysia? Ni antara sebab dia. So kalau kita go back to our high school, masa kita ambil SPM dulu, there's aliran sains social and aliran sastra. Sekarang ni dah tak ramai orang akan ambil aliran sains, not just because they find it less interesting, but the demand in IT, software, architecture, engineering has been much greater compared to this healthcare sector. And because of that, there's been more lucrative salary compared to this latter group. So itu kita belum cakap lagi pasal the length and the effort needed to pass through the whole career. So you start dengan just going to med school, already takes 5 years. And then lepas tu you jadi houseman for another 2 years. Lepas tu you kena jadi MO lagi 2 tahun. And then you get the opportunity to specialize or subspecialize, which takes roughly another 4 to 5 years. And that's already a total of about roughly 9 years if you continuously sambung belajar non-stop. So you can see that there's a lot of effort and time taken being put into becoming a doctor. So tambah lagi kos yang you kena tampung kalau you tak ada scholarship. For medical school, it ranges around 200 to 500,000 ringgit dekat Malaysia. And after that, you have to also pay for your specialty training. Tu dah berapa dah. So let's say you successfully graduated from med school. Congratulations. Tapi you still have to face the reality of becoming a doctor. Bullying culture is still not being fully eradicated. About 70 to 80% of MOs are still under the contract system. The amount of people applying for training posts versus the amount of people who actually get into training is still very low. The amount of work you've put in versus the salary that you get is still inadequate. And people wonder kenapa ramai doktor yang quit KKM. At the end of the day, what does this translate into? So kalau ramai lagi housemen or MOs quit, that means there's less doctors available to see patients, meaning there's a longer waiting list untuk orang jumpa doktor. At the same time, because there's lesser doctors now, that means there's more burden for these doctors to do the jobs. And because of that, the remaining doctors will get more burnt out and suffer from chronic stress. And bila diorang stress, they don't have enough time for them to take leaves because there's not a lot of doctors that can cover for them. But what are the numbers showing? Sekarang ni, about 1 in 4 housemen actually have to repeat the postings, and less than 90% of the housemen currently tak sempat habis pun dalam training. Because of this, we can see that the government is actually actively trying to recruit more housemen. And dulu diorang akan recruit once a year, sekarang they are recruiting about 2 to 3 times a year. And it's not just that. Right now, the government is only putting the housemen into the major hospitals, meaning the other bigger hospitals like PPUM or HSI are currently applying the no houseman policy, meaning the MOs have to act as a houseman. And this all ends up becoming a vicious cycle because more doctors are getting burnt out and quitting, and subsequently the rest of the doctors are also quitting, ultimately leading to the fall of the whole healthcare system. With all due respect, ni bukan masanya untuk kita bertuling jari. We should instead be focusing on how to solve this problem at its core. So this doesn't only involve the government's effort, tapi kita sebagai individu and at an organizational level, we have to think of solutions. Kalau tak, nanti siapa nak bagi kita MC?
And it's only when you do it that you realize what a prison you lived in before. And what it gave me was a